Hey everybody, it's Michael Martin. Welcome back. Hope you had a great break. I know I did. I needed some time off, man. I was crispy creamed out. I was burnt out beyond. Um, just lots going on in my life, which is good. Keeps me busy. But I was really fried coming into the Q4 for the most part. So appreciate your patience. Glad to be back. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're off to a good start. Got a lot done. I have a lot to tell you. I won't do it today, but there's a lot of stuff I planned on. Gonna have a couple guests on, some guys that you know sooner or later should be really, really good. Got a lot of great email from you all and some really good comments, on the channel, so we can kind of keep that going. There'll be a couple of changes, um, but nothing that's gonna really change in terms of the daily flow. Um, Ganja's doing very, very well. He's on a tear now. Actually, I just saw him yesterday. We were chatting for a bit. So his time with the show on Wednesdays might be in much more limited, if at all, coming up. Just because he's going gangbusters, his team is going great, and they're doing all kinds of like promotional things and endorsement deals now. So like it's exactly what he wanted, and I couldn't be happier. That's kind of what we had been planning on, and talking about all the while. So that might change, but in terms of like the content, this and that, not really going to change all that much. I may do some educational, webinars on like the how-to part of trading, especially if we marry it up to the psychological and the emotional part. So that'll be awesome. You can still get the transcripts if you want. That'll be great. The videos will be good. I got a few people helping me behind the scene on the production, although, quality content trumps production value 100% of the time. So that's going to be my focus because I do have only limited amounts of time to do the show. At any rate, I wanted to get going. The first thing I want to talk about is time frames. Someone left a comment, I don't remember which one it was. You can see it because it's all public, about, you know, can you explain, why or you don't look at intraday time frames anymore? And so I don't know if I misspoke or someone misunderstood, but my thought process on time frames has always been look at the longer time frames, like weeklies and or monthlies, because that takes out some of the randomness of the move. We're going to always have randomness. There's no way to get around it. But if all you're looking at is intraday, you might look at something like an intraday high being something material when it doesn't line up with the higher time frames. So that's why I said like intraday is interesting. It might help you understand where there's real support or resistance, but only if it tags into higher time frames, right? Otherwise, and I know why you do it. If you have a smaller account and you're kind of looking for the action because you can only afford to do the minis or the micros, especially the micros, sometimes you're stuck because there's not too many of those instruments out there. And so if you're not looking at intraday highs, even if they don't line up, it's like there's no trades for you. And I understand that. But I've always also advocated knowing that people might find themselves in that situation that, at the end of the day, it's very, very difficult to, you know, trade when you have a smaller account. What you don't want to do is find yourself falling into bad habits. And this kind of is one of them. If you're just focusing on intraday only, you'd want to see it kind of marry up with higher time frames and see where is there some type of materialness to that lower time frame, because the price on the lower time frame means something more in certainly the daily and even better yet the weeklies. So that might be a place to kind of start. Actually, don't start with the intraday, start with the weeklies and say, okay, it looks like something's forming here on the weeklies, or whatever, let me break it down and see where we are in the dailies. Then if there's something in the dailies, then you look for something on the intraday. So it's all based on the price. I don't need indicators. I don't need moving averages that converge and diverge. Like, I don't need any of that stuff. Just look at the prices on the higher time frames, because if you achieve higher prices in the higher time frames, there's so much time where they could have corrected or failed, and they didn't. So to me, again, there's money. You want to be buying when there's other buyers. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be trying to buy on pullbacks. And this might seem like it's tedious or discouraging for even some of you, but it helps you. Your job is to disqualify, right? You're not trying to load up a list of buys, right? Your job is, because most trades are suboptimal. So the thinking is your job as an editor is like, nope, 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 nope. You're just like playing poker. You should be mucking your cards. Unless you're playing head-to-head, of course, then you kind of have to go with it. But if you're playing in a nine-handed table, you can't possibly be playing 2-3 offsuit out of position. Unless, of course, it's part of your overall strategy that once in a while you have to do that to feign strength. That gets into it a little bit more. Most of the time, though, the person who has the best cards going to win. So your job is to disqualify names from your wish list. And I know, granted, some of you are just trading the micros because you don't have enough money, but that to me isn't an excuse necessarily to start bad habits. If that's the case, I know this is going to sound crazy. You're better off sitting on your hands and waiting days and weeks if you have to in order for the trade to set up. Because otherwise, you're doing it for the action, right? And if you look at what are the two potential payoffs for a trade, you've got the financial payoff, you've got the emotional payoff. Don't trade because you're bored. You're better off preserving your cash. Go find a side hustle, keep adding more money to your account, and go about things that way. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I don't poo-poo intraday necessarily. It can be revealing, but only when it marries up to the higher time frames. That's the way I do it anyway. I hope you're doing well. I want to hear about your breaks. Leave your thoughts, how you feel about this stuff in the comments. For sure, I see everything. I appreciate you all being here. I'm glad to be back. I had a good break. Hope you did too. And I'll see you tomorrow.